Hello, welcome to this week's episode of Technology Simplified. I'm Tia Haygood, and this week we're filming on location and interviewing Mirrored Storage.
All right, welcome back to Technology Simplified. I'm Lindsay Darnell, and we are here today with John Neibel from Mirrored Storage, and we've also got Terrence Shaw. And so we're just going to talk a little bit about what they have to offer.
So John, why don't you kick us off? Tell us a little bit about, I know you started with backup solutions, and you've got some other stuff to talk about today, but why don't we start there? Start at the beginning, and then, how did you get into, how did you think up, or how did you say, you know what, I think I want to put stuff in the cloud?
Well, after I've been in software technology space about 25 years, in sales and technology about 20 of that, and literally as the last couple of companies I worked at were being acquired and changed and going directions I didn't really think were the right direction, I just literally sat back and started talking with my customers, talking with channel partners, and saying, what kind of technology things are the small and medium-sized businesses struggling with? This was in late '08, so right as the economy was going the wrong direction. What a great time to start a business, right? So that's what I did.
Nice.
So I started off with finding something that they struggle with, that really didn't have a good solution in the market. So I started doing some research and found that backup was one of those common themes that small and medium businesses struggle with.
Yeah. They don't struggle, they just don't do them usually.
Or they do them,
right.
and then 3 years later when they have a problem,
Right.
they go, remember that thing we set up? Go find the guy that set
We
that up.
have never been at the data doctors going, please get this hard drive back. Please,
Exactly.
you do not know what is on this hard drive, our entire Subversion repository. Please. How many technical people we have in this office who did not do a backup of our code repository, right?
Exactly, exactly. And I'm one of the
Yeah.
guilty parties. As I was working in those 20 years, I was the guy in the field sales office that was
Right.
responsible for the backup. So when
Yeah.
I first started, someone said, I said, how do I do that? And they
Yeah.
go, here's your American Express, go to CompUSA,
Right.
buy a tape unit and
Yep.
some tapes.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I did that.
That's awesome.
And then had a problem, and, of course had a problem because I had one tape.
Right.
And it was bad.
Yeah.
So I had to then go buy new tapes.
Yeah.
So after several iterations of those things, I realized that there was a couple things that were a problem. Number one was verifying in backups isn't something that just happens automatically.
Right.
You have to do something
Right.
about it.
Right.
And the second is you have to remember to actually kick the backups off.
That's
it's
right.
not automated. You're going to do it.
Right.
So I literally would set every 2 Fridays to do backup. And 2 Fridays were kind of like, I'm kind of busy today. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll do it next Friday.
Sure.
I'll do that Saturday night.
Yeah.
Certainly I'll do it
Yeah.
then. And invariably, again, it got burned and had
Right.
really, really old backups. They were
Yeah.
good, but they were old, previous version of operating system, all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff. So literally, I started looking on the market for what kinds of technologies were out there that people purchased, and
Okay.
how do they use them, and how could I build a business on it. I was really looking for some technology that worked, so that if a customer's machine shut down,
Yeah.
or they got busy and stopped it, or it crashed, when the machine came back up, the software would pick up where it left off.
Oh, okay.
And believe it or not, that was an extremely hard thing to find. It took
Yeah.
me, months and months and months
Right.
to find several technologies that worked. And then I started looking at how can I build a business on this. So
Okay.
literally, I went through and I picked commercial grade software. I did not want to build software from scratch.
Right.
I wanted someone else to do that.
Yeah.
And then I could build on top of that a practice of management of it. So
Okay.
in the 4 years I've been doing this, I've found very, very few companies that actually will come in and analyze your environment, set up a custom backup, monitor it, and change it as your environment changes.
Yeah.
I really have only found a couple in the 4 years that I've been doing this of what I would call traditional competitors.
Yeah. Nice. Wow. And Lindsay, how do you like backups? What do you know about backups?
And I'm guilty of the, I'll do it on Friday or Saturday.
Mhm.
And then
It's
we're
been
visiting
2
the data
months.
doctor.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then I
Yeah.
spill coffee over.
Right, I think that's coffee. She's found that the coffee does not work well
Yeah.
as you throw it into your laptop.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
We have-
Tia tried it too. So.
Right, yes.
It's not.
The
Yeah.
remarkable thing is most losses don't come from coffee. They don't
Right.
come from hard drive crash, believe it or not. They come from somebody accidentally deleting something
Yeah,
and not realizing it right away.
Right.
That's the biggest problem.
Wow.
Is they realize, well, I got rid of that last week, or I was deleting some stuff off the server from my workstation, and there is no recycle bin
right,
on the server.
Right.
They're doing it from workstation, so
Right.
you can't just pull it back.
that's right.
So that's a lot of the things that I find. People will call me and say, I haven't had a major disaster. I just deleted something really, really important. Can you get it back for me?
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing.
Oh, wow.
So kind of fast forward 2 years into that,
Okay.
I kind of was the next iteration of what people were asking for, which was not just backing up their data,
Yeah.
being able to back up the entire system, so being able to do a full system backup so that I could do a full system restore and do that on the same or different hardware.
Okay.
Kind of called bare metal backup,
Right.
bare metal
Right.
restore, where you can actually take data that's on a server
Yeah.
and restore it to a laptop. So
Okay.
If your server crashes, it's probably going to take more than a trip to CompUSA to get a
That's
server
right.
replaced. You're
Right.
gonna need something to run on, so
Right.
that's one of the concepts. I kind of refer to that as I call it the Dell sales model killer, where Dell sold laptops to corporate America.
Yeah.
And they sold them the exact same make, model, size of hard drive, size of screen, because the old image-based backups, when you produce an image, you had to lay it on the exact same hardware.
Oh,
No
really?
driver differences.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
bare metal's been around a lot longer than people realize.
Yeah.
So when I go into organizations and they say, we're 100% Dell or we're 100% HP,
Right.
I'll ask them, why is that? And they'll say, because if it crashes, I have to put it onto the exact same
Image.
image.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, not anymore. Not,
Oh, okay.
Those days are past.
Oh, nice.
So,
Nice.
so I started doing full images, and that also led to me going after larger customers. Because
Okay.
larger customers with more data
Yeah.
and more needs and more critical times to recover. They don't want to recover in 8 hours or 3 days or a week. They want to recover in 1 hour,
Right.
8 minutes,
Yeah.
3 minutes, kind of thing. So I kind of have moved into that realm where I'm doing full images, and I'm not only doing them local, but I'm doing them remotely. So
Okay.
I'm replicating all that data to my data center in Dallas.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, and those images are so complete that I can actually run their servers or laptops or desktops, wherever they're backing with me. I can actually fire those up and run those on my VMware Hyper-V environment
Okay.
for them, for testing, for disaster, but really for a lot of new customers, it's peace of mind.
Yeah.
When they see their server come up and they recognize the screen and they type in their user ID and it comes on, I get the wow factor.
Wow.
And that's
Okay.
great
Okay.
a tool, and,
Yeah.
and I've leveraged that like crazy
Wow.
on customers. So I've doubled my business in a year.
Oh, nice.
Using that new technology last year and a half.
So you finding, what are kind of some of your challenges? You're kind of moving up that food chain to the bigger customers and with more data. How's that going? What sort of challenges getting there?
Getting to the right person, right?
Okay,
Getting to the
yeah.
person. I call it a life insurance sale.
Yeah.
So anybody that sold life insurance knows.
Right.
The best time to sell life insurance to somebody is when they've had a recent problem.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. Yeah.
When that that young father
Right.
passes away and leaves his kids, all of a
Yeah.
sudden life insurance, and a lot of it, especially to carry them
Right.
through college, is very important.
Right.
So, same is true in backup. If no one's had a loss, if they've never lost everything,
Right.
they don't know someone close to them that's lost everything,
Right.
they may not have an appreciation for it.
Yeah.
So, I kind of say that folks that have had a loss
Really?
or have some sort of training that's been ingrained in them, that backup is super, super important.
Wow.
And it's important not only to have it, but
Yeah.
to have it in more than one location, right? Because
Yeah.
if water pipe breaks in a building, lightning strike,
Oh, right, right.
someone breaks in, doesn't matter
Right.
if the data's local, it's all going to be
It's dead.
gone,
Yeah.
right? It's having a remote copy of that's recent, and,
Right.
and people used to send the old tape to Iron Mountain.
Right,
Sent
right,
to the
that's right,
Utah Flats,
Right.
or a place across town where they sent paper,
Right.
and then they started sending tapes. Well, now there's so much more efficiency in using cloud technologies
Right.
to leverage the internet to transport that data. Just got to make sure you have a secure connection,
Right.
both directions, and the data is secure on both sides before it leaves the building and when it
Sure.
arrives at my data center.
We need to talk about sales model, then you'd be perfect.
Yeah.
You just go around to the customer, spill coffee on
There
their
you
laptop
go.
for more, and then he calls right afterwards, and just bada bing, bada boom, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Hey, I think we need that, right? Yeah.
It's funny. I've thought about following the. I had several customers that I got kind of right back to back that were in warehouses that got broken into over the weekend.
Yeah.
And they literally didn't know if someone cut the alarm system on Friday night. They didn't know till Monday morning when they got there.
Right.
When a policeman happened to drive around back, that
Right.
there was an open door.
Yeah.
So I was laughing, saying, maybe I should look at the police reports for break-ins.
Right, that's right.
Yeah, probably a little creep factor
Start calling
there,
them, right? Like, hey, I was wondering, is your data
Smart.
backed up?
Exactly. Exactly.
That's awesome. So I know from back in the day, there used to be a whole thing. Tape, when you mentioned tape, right? Tape
Right.
used to be backup and medium for almost any organization. And then that slowly had moved into here recently to disk, and disk speeds were able to keep up and
Right.
start keeping up. And has that trend continued that now, backup to disk is
Well-
faster than tape, or?
Well, it's faster, but there's still, I still say more than half of
Yeah.
the backups done today are still using tape.
Right.
Tape is the cheapest to
Okay.
get involved in.
Okay. Still
It's
is.
the cheapest
Yeah.
medium per terabyte or per gigabyte
Okay.
than disk.
Yeah.
Certainly. Not as fast to recover,
Right.
so that's an issue.
Right.
But here's one of the facts that's pretty interesting it's the industry average that 50% of tape restores fail.
All right. Oh, I knew that.
Right, so-
Because I was about my next follow-on question was like, well, the tape backup's great, but the restores don't work all that well, right? You know,
right. So
yeah,
the reason
yeah.
I was laughing and say, so why do you keep so many tapes?
Right.
You do incrementals every night or do fulls
Right.
every night and you keep weeks and weeks and weeks of those.
Right.
That's because last night's is bound to not work.
Right.
Right. And it's true.
Out of the last week, only half of them were going to be there, right?
Exactly.
So
Exactly. So I talked to several customers that they moved from tape to
Yeah.
external hard drives, and I laugh and say those little Western Digital ebooks.
Right.
They have little rubber feet on the bottom of them.
Right.
And it's like, why they have rubber feet?
Yeah.
Because they're meant to sit on your desk.
Right.
Because those are not laptop drives
That's
inside
right.
this box. Those are desktop drives.
Right.
So they're not meant to take out of the office,
Right.
wrap the cords around them, and toss them in your trunk.
Right.
And drive around
That's
until
right.
next week, and you pull it back out. So I had several customers that they'd have. I go into their data center
Yeah.
area, and they'd have 4 or 5 or 6 or 8 of those
Yeah.
green boxes.
Yeah.
I'd say, why do you have so many? And they said, well, we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday full.
Right.
And I said, so why not reuse the same one? And they said,
Yeah.
well, because they fail all the time. You have to
Really?
reformat them.
Yeah.
And I said, well, therein lies your problem.
Right.
They aren't meant to move.
Right.
Laptops
They're
are meant
not.
to move.
They're not, yeah.
And those little
Yeah.
Seagate thinner devices
Right.
that are back, those are meant to move.
Yep.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
still, drives that are transported have a much higher likelihood of failure than those
Right.
that sit on the desk or in the server.
Right. Now I'm having flashbacks when I drove down to Kansas City and I took my Western Digital and I wrapped my cords in it.
Exactly. Everyone's done it. In fact, I do it. When I do a new backup for a large customer,
Yeah.
they have a lot of data. We don't want to transfer all that over the internet.
Right.
So I have an external
Right.
drive, so I back up to there, and then I take
Yeah.
the drive, deploy all the data onto my data center, and then I hook up the software to set up the replication between the
Right.
sites.
Right.
So then it's just the changes that happen.
Yeah.
Some folks have a high enough speed. I was laughing and say, if you have FiOS or UVerse
Right.
in a business, you've got plenty of speed. We'll just
Right.
back you up. We'll kick it off at 5, you'll be done by 7.
Right.
But if they're T1s, bonded T1s,
Yeah.
let's do it, let it run overnight,
Right.
and pick it up the next morning.
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah, well, and I know because we took over we had a small business. We took over some of their servers, managing their servers for them, and we put them here in our server room. And one of the issues we had is we got them and we didn't know what was on them. And one of them they were using for their corporate email, and they've been using that for several years. And they're using this open source product, and we looked at it, and the file size of it was 425 gigs,
Wow.
and they didn't have a backup.
Right.
And it's their email for the last 9 years.
Right.
And so I said, why don't we talk about moving to a cloud-based email solution, migrating you guys off of that,
Exporting all that stuff out.
right? Because it just took us 3 days to make your first backup of your email, and I said, so basically it's 3 days off, right? And if I do it every night, that's going to be 3 days old, and so I'll be 3
Right.
days back on to that server, and so you'll be missing a week of email at any given time, right?
Right.
And is that acceptable? Or how about we you just pay to go to the online, because they don't want to pay, right? We're like, oh, this is all great, and I'm like, yeah,
Right.
but it's so much cheaper that if you ever lost a week of email, is it worth that amount of money?
Right.
Oh yeah, for sure it's worth that, and plus, okay, so we got them to migrate off of that and got just to turn down that email thing
Right.
because one, it was unmanageable and we had no idea how we're going to go through and parse that down and get
Right.
rid of all that stuff, and so. But I could tell that there's probably just a huge thing in the small to medium business for that.
Well, and
that
you
they
have to
wouldn't
be
do it.
careful when you pick a cloud provider. You have to
Yeah.
ask a lot of questions,
Yeah.
like where's the data being stored?
Right.
Is there more than one copy?
Right.
Who has access to it? Do you have a backup?
Yeah.
All those kinds of things, because it's been publicized, probably not as much as the first time it happened, but over the last 15 months or so, Google has had 4 major outages where they lost email accounts.
Oh right. Yeah.
And they couldn't recover tens of thousands each time.
Right.
The first one was 40,000. Everybody heard about that.
Right.
But the other times it's been 12 and 15
Yeah.
thousand. You don't hear about that.
Right.
So
well, I think you just go you get what you pay for too, and I bet those
Exactly.
were all free accounts.
exactly. So I laugh and say, one of the sales philosophies I learned early on was good, fast, and cheap.
Right.
Pick 2.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
You can't have all
It's the
3.
three-legged stool, right? That's
That's
my.
right.
You can have any 2 that you want, but you can't have the third.
That's
what,
right.
What do you want it to be? You do that.
Mhm.
actually heard him say that.
Nice. Well, thanks, John, for taking the time out. Come talk
Thank
to
you.
us today. All right.
Appreciate it.